What's up, guys? It's Diego from the Foot and Fist Sports Network, back again to break down a UFC event. It is UFC Japan, featuring the UFC debut of Gokhan Saki, the Cristiano Ronaldo of kickboxing, as I saw him described yesterday, which I don't quite understand it, but okay, I might be wrong. He might be the Cristiano Ronaldo of kickboxing. Anyway, coming into the UFC, you always expected Dana White and the matchmakers to give him a favorable matchup. All right, and basically, they did exactly that. They gave him Henrique Da Silva, who, if you look at his record, you're like, damn, this guy's actually pretty good. He has, like, what was it? I can't remember if it's 11-3 or 13-3 with 11 knockouts. I know for a fact he has 11 knockouts. I can't remember if he has 2 decision wins as well, but I don't think so. Anyway, he definitely has lost his last 3 fights. One of them, which was his last one, was a loss in 22 seconds by knockout. So, I mean, this guy is tailor-made for Gokhan Saki because he only fights he only stands up with guys. He has lost his last 3, and his last one was a TKO in 22 seconds. So Gokhan Saki is going to go out there, and he's going to look amazing in this one. It's just no doubt about it. They absolutely set this fight to where if he somehow fails, it'll be the most embarrassing thing possible for Saki. I mean, maybe if Henrique Da Silva takes him down and absolutely changes up his game plan, which on the ground, regardless of how specialized he is in the ground game, he should still have a better ground game than Gokhan Saki. He should. But he has to get it there first, and I doubt he's going to be able to do that. I think Gokhan Saki is just going to knock him the fuck out in the first round. It's going to be interesting because we haven't really seen an elite kickboxer like this in the UFC. And we're going to find out what a guy can really do on the feet compared to just your average MMA guy. Probably a below average MMA guy, I guess you could say. We're going to find out, man. I think Gokhan Saki, if he can get his ground game going over the years, and as long as the UFC doesn't give him terrible matchups early on, he could potentially develop his game to where he's at least good enough to stop takedowns against most guys and get himself among the top 5 guys. He could be an absolute monster. It's just going to be a matter of how fast he develops and how much the UFC favors him in terms of matchmaking. Next up, we have Takanori Gomi taking on Dong Hyun Kim, and I just don't understand why this fight is fucking happening, man. Takanori Gomi, a legend, Pride legend, Japan legend. Everybody loves Takanori Gomi. Who hasn't seen his fight against Nick Diaz, and who doesn't love that fight? Who doesn't love what Takanori Gomi represents for mixed martial arts? He represents the Pride days, back when everybody was fucking animals and he was beating up some monsters. When he was that much smaller, he was just an all-around beast. And now he's been getting beat down by just about everybody. And what do? They give him the stun gun Dong Hyun Kim, a guy who has monstrous power, a guy who has crazy judo throws, a guy who's going to absolutely wreck Takanori Gomi. And this might be a case of the UFC trying to make a bit of a star out of Dong Hyun Kim by basically dispensing themselves of Takanori Gomi. And I get that, but I do not like it one bit. I wish Takanori Gomi would stop fighting or go fighting like Ryzen or something like that in a division where they aren't going to have good fighters, where they're going to give him matchups that he is easily going to win. I wish he would do that if he doesn't want to keep on fighting. Because in the UFC, and especially against a monster like Dong Hyun Kim, like, what the fuck, man? He is not going to do well, and he's going to get beat the fuck down. I see him losing in the first round by knockout or TKO. It's going to be bad. It's going to be bad. The co-main event is Claudia Gadelha versus Jessica Andrade in a battle of Brazilian ladies who have both lost to Joanna Jędrzejczyk. At least Claudia Gadelha made it a good fight both times she fought Joanna. The last one she lost 3-2, which was definitely a very, very respectable performance against a lady like Joanna Jędrzejczyk, who is easily the best female fighter on the planet. Jessica Andrade, she went out there, she's pretty much Wanderlei Silva. She throws a lot of heavy shots, but she misses a lot. She gets tired, and Joanna just pieced her up. It wasn't even close. So, I mean, you have to sort of expect Claudia Gadelha to go out there and beat her. I mean, personally, I think that Claudia has maybe not better striking, because Jessica Andrade definitely has some heavy hands, but her wrestling is much better, her judo is much better, her ground game is much better. In general, I just think that Claudia Gadelha is a much better fighter. I think she's going to tire out Jessica Andrade, and she is going to win a decision. It's a 3-rounder, so maybe there's a less chance of Jessica Andrade getting tired, and Claudia Gadelha in her own right has shown that she does get tired. Against Joanna, she was throwing a lot of heavy judo throws. She was really throwing a lot of slams and stuff like that, so she did get herself tired out. And plus, whenever you're striking against a chick like Joanna, you always end up getting tired because she hits you with a lot of body shots and things like that. And just like Andrade, she needs to work the body early on Claudia, not throwing a lot of kicks, because if Claudia grabs a hold of her, she is going to go for a ride. Andrade is a very, very big woman, so maybe that's going to favor her, but I just think that Claudia Gadelha, the better fighter, is going to win a decision. And the main event of the evening is actually kind of a disappointing win, because OSP versus Shogun was going to be a pretty fun fight. It would have been a rematch of an interesting fight. And unfortunately, Shogun had to pull out. And who do they replace him with? Yushin fucking Okami, who got cut from the UFC, 3 or 4 years ago, and was having not a great time, I think, in some World Series of Fighting. I mean, I understand why they brought him in here. He's an Asian fighter who's going to have a fan base there, and he is a UFC veteran. He's a guy who is pretty good. His wrestling has always been good. But is he really going to be able to go against a guy like Ovince Saint Preux? You know, Yushin Okami used to fight at middleweight and had a hard time against guys like Chael Sonnen and other guys like that. So is he going to be able to go against a guy like OSP who has really good striking, or he has very unorthodox striking at the very least? He's got good wrestling in general. He's a very big guy. He's very strong, and he's very unorthodox. Is Okami going to be able to deal with that? I simply don't see that happening. I think he was just thrown in there by the UFC pretty much just to be a placeholder, and he's going to take a beat down. And I just don't think it's going to be a very pretty one. So overall, this card has a lot of very one-sided matchups, in my opinion. The only one that isn't going to be one-sided is the co-main event, which is probably going to be Fight of the Night, by the way. And I just think that this is overall a card that isn't very good. And I understand why they did it. It's a Japan card, so they want to throw in a lot of Asian guys. But still, man, you have to put in some fights that are going to be entertaining. And I get it, OSP versus Shogun was going to be a huge one because Shogun is a Pride legend, one of the #1 Pride legends. And taking on a guy like OSP, who beat him in their first fight, it was always going to be a nice, fun fight to watch. But Okami is not a good replacement. I get it, they did it for the Japanese fans, but the people watching around the world are not going to be very enthused about that fight. And I think that OSP is going to win in the second round, probably by knockout. Alright guys, that is it for the video. If you enjoyed it, please soccer kick the shit out of that like button, Pride style, and subscribe to the channel. Also, please let me know in the comment section down below who you think is going to win each of these fights. And also, if you want to, please share the video with anybody that you know that you want to share it with. That's extremely helpful, and I would be extremely grateful to anybody who does that. Once the Patreon does come out, I would love it if some of you guys would subscribe to that and help me out. I've been Dago from the Foot and Fist Sports Network. I will see you in the next video, and enjoy the weekend's fights.